They're all watching.
Let's start this now. So, hey everyone, sorry for that. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 3 of Tac-Com. Joined,
33.
yep, we're joined once again by Dodger, Waldo, and Typo. So, there was a lot to discuss last time, so this is essentially a continuation of last, uh, the last episode. I will have a link in the description for the first part of it for those watching the video on demand. So the main topics we were going to cover today were escalation. Typo's
Hi.
kid. Typo's kid.
Hi.
We're going to cover escalation, spectator mode, the ranking system,
Typo's kid.
DLC. Yeah, Typo's kid again.
Mm-hmm.
The 2016 lineup, and possibly revisit some other topics from last week because there was a lot to cover.
Yeah.
Also, if there's any topics you're interested in, feel free to type it in the chat. We might cover it then. We might try and save it to the end or save it for another episode. But if anyone's in the chat has a topic they want to see covered, go ahead and let us know. So I've rambled on long enough. You want to hop into some discussion?
Yeah, we're gonna have a
Escalation.
like counter today.
Woo.
But before we get into anything, I'm gonna have a like counter on myself because I think I said like about 1,000 times the last episode. So we're gonna try to tone that down a little bit.
Like,
Alright.
no way.
Yeah. I didn't realize how bad it was until I went back and listened. I was like, I said like every other time, and it was really annoying to myself. So we're gonna have to fix
Yeah.
that this time.
As long as you don't say like every other word, it's okay.
Oh man. So
Yeah.
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 Yas.
All right.
So,
Well,
Escalation,
Yeah,
the
Escalation.
2016 model, which one do you want to jump into? Because
Let's start with
They
escalation.
they tie hand in hand.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, because they're betting all the money on Escalation to be like the one game
Yeah.
mode that's gonna work.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about escalation. We can start with the good.
It has objectives and it has 3 of them, and it's not terrible in the mindset of it. Just there are little tweaks that they have to make to fix it. I like that they did 3 rings in a locked position, and then they switch rounds like CS:GO does to switch it into another set of rings that are just pretty much flipped. It's like a triangle. They just go like this every time. Right now, it's a weird like best of 13. I hate the format because if we're gonna do something like CS:GO where there's a lot of rounds, there just needs to be overtime, and you have to win by 2. I said that in my video. That hands down needs to be the first thing that's addressed, aside from spawning system, which I'll get into in a little bit.
What's
But
that? Winning by 2 or reducing the number of rounds to win?
you need to win. I don't care however many rounds you do, but to win the match, you need to win by 2 rounds. Especially when you're doing a lot of rounds, winning by 1 defeats the purpose. 2 is like a locking secure point. Like in volleyball and tennis, you have to win by 2, pretty much 2 full rounds.
Yeah.
To get the thing. So in the same sense, this, because we have multiple rounds, needs to have that. I don't like how the hill thing is. It's still stupid. Like you can literally, it took me a little
be
bit
more,
to catch
more
it.
specific. What do you mean, like the hill thing?
So when you can go, when you capture the hill, like even if it gets broken by the enemy team, you still earn points as it's being capped, as it's getting wound down. So you're still earning points even though you've lost map control and possession of the hill, which is rewarding the team that first
Yeah.
captured the hill and punishing the team that's breaking the objective. And that shouldn't happen. I personally think it should go to like blitz and instant break every time that the hill goes neutral every time. Other people like it winding down. I don't. That's
What
my
about
big-
instant cap?
I don't like instant cap. I like the cap winding up because it adds anticipation. I think that if it's set to this
And I
ties
mean,
in
you can put more people in a hill to cap it faster.
Right.
It's not just that one person go to that hill and hope you can get a point off of it.
Right. I think the elevation of what I wanted to say it was is if you have the how do I say it? So you've got the guy running in, you're capping the hill, you want to make sure that because the way that the rounds work, like it's the global cap system. That's what I was trying to get to. If there's a global cap on everything, you you literally only have to cap the hill for 5 seconds. Like you stand in the hill, you grab the hill, you capture it, you win the round. I think that's too short, and having instant breaks actually adds a little bit more competitiveness to it, because it used to happen in Gears 3 King of the Hill where people would be like running toward the hill and then they wouldn't finish it off. Like they'd be right on the cusp of breaking it and they'd be in the ring but it wouldn't break. And then the round would just go on and the other team would win. So for consistency reasons, the hills need to break instantly, cap slow, and then my other thing I said was you have to hold the hill, capture the hills for 5 seconds, get a full cap, and then hold all 3 rings for 5 seconds to actually win the round. Because instant capping 3 rings is not that hard because of the way the spawn system's set up. And I know the competitive community wants to argue this point. 2 linear spawns is not going to work. They can argue with me all they want. It's never. You cannot have two static spawns where everybody's going to spawn out of, because you eventually can lock them into it without any issues. So that has to be addressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So the holding it for 5 seconds in order to win, what is what's the purpose of that? Do you want to explain that a little bit?
Because of the way that the reason, my logic behind it is, you are running into capture the hill, and since it's an objective-based mode, it's based on kills and map control. But to make it more dramatic, you literally just have to capture the hill to win the round, which is really anticlimactic in the way that it is. There's a global ding, like 3, 2, 1. You may have just caught up a spawn. Like, to make it more dramatic and more balanced in the sense of, instead of just like, oh, we capped it, we won. Like, oh, we capped a hill for 5 seconds. And if there's a dude, and just think about consistency. Like, there's another teammate, a player from the Swarm team running over. He's going to, like, right on the cusp of capture, like, getting in to break the hill. And it just, instead of getting the break that could keep the round going, it's, why did I even make the effort? So, if they have to globally hold it for 5 seconds, it adds a little bit more onto the game.
Isn't that how it already is? Because I keep on seeing, like, when they showcase Escalation, they said like Locust or Swarm team or Cog team wins in like 5 or so seconds, and it showed like all 3 caps were captured.
Right, but it's capturing the hill is the first 5 seconds. That's the 5 seconds that it counts. It needs to count an additional 5 seconds after that.
Wait, so as of right now, Escalation, the hills, it doesn't matter how many people are in it, it caps for 5 seconds?
It caps for 5 seconds.
Oh.
And then
Learn something new every day.
Yeah,
I thought it capped faster if you had like 2 people.
Yeah, I thought it capped.
It may cap faster. I was just watching one of the rounds where it just like it caps. But yeah, in the same instance, like there needs to be a deterrent on that. If you're going to give an instant win, they have to hold possession. They have to hold map control for at least 10 seconds to give them the round. It'll make the game more exciting. There's more action. It seems less anticlimactic that way.
Okay. Let's see. Typo, are you there, by the way? I hear stuff, but it says that it's... Okay. I have a little notification saying that there's issues.
I don't know. My daughter's just whining about Escalation, that's all.
Yeah.
She's got good reason to.
No, I've got this little logo saying there's an issue, but as long as
No, it's no issue.
you're there, then we're good. Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought it was interesting seeing the way that the players get to select the weapons on the map.
Oh, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah,
Or how they can just choose to not have weapons in some spots as well.
Or remove him, yeah.
or put a mortar down or a mulcher so no one can pick it up.
Oh, every
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Every time I'm gonna add a heavy weapon, and like not like in a central point, but like in Foundation where the smoke grenades was, you can add 2. I would put mortars. Oh my gosh, I would have so much fun with that in public.
1v1 mortar battle for the bread.
Oh my gosh. So I totally forgot about that. That's a whole nother issue. So right now, the pull for weapons in that is like every primary weapon is available, like everything, like a Nasher, all the weapons. If you're going to be making maps like that, you need to make it. You have to make the pool of weapons for the map. Like there should be like 5 to 6 weapons for primary, 3 to 4 weapons for secondary, and that's it. There shouldn't be an entire pool of weapons that I have to cycle through to decide what I want to do.
So why is that? Just because it's hard to cycle through it, or
It's because it's an imbalancing. You are eventually, instead of making, you want the players to make objectively smart choices. It's got to be a chess match, and so
they won't in public.
Yeah,
Camera dons everywhere.
Exactly. So in a competitive environment, you want the field to be they're making decisions, and there's a meta game in that. So you have to kind of control what's available. No one's going to use a mulcher if you put it on the map, and the one team that does is going to be God because everybody just ran into a mulcher off spawn or something. So in that sense, you kind of have to balance out. Okay, these are the weapons that are going to be on this map. This is what you guys can put on it, and this is what you can take it off. And then that also goes into I want an overtime if we get it. So that you have to win by 2, so you have to do the what the hell is that called? Each team gets to decide if they want to put one weapon on the map in overtime, so they can put it in a secondary spot or they can put it in a primary, and then whoever loses the round can decide if they want to make adjustments.
So how's this overtime work, or is this just the extra round so that you win by 2?
This is the overtime, if it's tied 6-6, let's say. We've gone even on rounds. Then it goes to a best of 3 or a best of 5, and you have to win 2 rounds. And the start of overtime, I would give, this is my personal opinion, I would give option Team A and Team B. Team A gets to put a weapon on the map, Team B gets to put a weapon on the map so that it's balanced at starting off. Then from there, they can choose to take off weapons as it goes along so that it's not going back to the same, oh, well, we've got these short spawn timers, and spawn timers are all over the place. I don't know why it's 10 seconds. That's the dumbest thing. There's no importance on early rounds, which kind of irritates me.
So just for argument's sake, what would happen if, for Foundation again, let's say one team wants snipers at the smokes, but the other team doesn't? Who gets priority?
I would say whoever got to choose sides at the beginning, that would be who gets to decide the weapon. It would be a coin flip system, or who's the home away team.
Okay.
So that'd be how I decide it. And just to hit this point, so it's there. Yeah, any time that there is I guess the instance of where you've got spawn timers too short in the beginning. I got in this argument with some competitive players. They're like, oh, it's changing from King of the Hill to Execution. Well, if you don't have to be serious the first couple of rounds, it doesn't help anybody. Because there's no importance on taking the objectives. We're just running around slaying people uselessly. So if you make a shorter or a longer respawn timer, it will make the mode better over time and play better instead of just being the first 3 rounds don't really matter. We have to take it serious 3, 4, 5 rounds in, and then it resets again.
Yeah,
is it really not taking it seriously though?
You don't have. There's no.
You don't value your life as much.
Right, but I mean that's like King of the Hill essentially.
Yeah, but in King of the Hill, you're still the way it was played in Gears 3. You were still taking objectively trying not to die. And this one, you can literally just throw your body in the hill, and you're going to be up 10 seconds later.
Yeah, yeah, you're objectively trying not to die because you get timed out in Gal 3. So there's that. I don't know. I don't understand why there's respawn growth. I just don't quite understand that at all. I agree that maybe it probably shouldn't be 10 seconds to start. A little bit longer, make you value your life a little more is nice, but I don't know why it has to get up to 22-second spawns or whatever the heck it is. I just think that's a little crazy.
I mean, it makes you value your life more and more as the game goes on. I guess it sort of is a gimmick type thing, as you said. It's adding something to the game for the point of adding something.
Yeah,
right.
There's really no point in adding it. I mean, I hate to beat a dead horse with saying Halo's a great game, but I mean, it is a great game, and don't know why we can't just have a consistent timer. Like, why can't it just be, oh, you know what, you died 15 seconds. Period. Every time you die, in this mode, 15 seconds. Like I haven't played it, obviously. I have no actual opinion hands on. I can just, guess, make theory crafting remarks based off what we saw at PAX. But I just think it's odd, like especially if a new player is trying to come into it again, like maybe like Waldo said, they're not going to value their life as much in early rounds, and it's going to be them throwing their body a lot at things, dying all willy nilly, and then later on being like, oh crap, I probably should have actually learned how to stay alive because now we're definitely just going to lose. Well, you should just definitely lose in those early rounds too because you're not valuing your life.
So the whole new player aspect thing sort of ties into something I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
Last week you were talking sort of about accessibility and viewers seeing something. You brought up Halo, and you're watching that. It's like, hey, I know that exact same situation from when I was playing casually, and the
Yeah.
competitive people are playing the same game. It's kind of weird how this is not a casual game type at all. I can't see it being played by the casual community. So
They'll hate it. They
yeah.
will hate it
So
because you're gonna get a good team. Let's just like take it to that point. If you're playing the way that the mode's set up, and actually, Blue Brent Dawson, put it on already. Like, hey, this is what can happen, and he showed me the layout, and I went over it with him, and it is literally the worst thing. It's worse than TDM. Like there are objectives on the map, and the other team can literally run up within 2 rounds, cheese you every time, and just lock you into the spawn, and you have no options.
Yeah, but like, okay, so I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. I'm gonna reference a new game that we probably have all played a good bit lately. But let's talk a little bit about Overwatch, right? Like, you can get
I haven't played it.
cheese like crazy in that game. And yet it's an objective-based game, and people, if you're not playing with a team, like people playing alone, arguably are going to hate it. But honestly, the game is so much fun. And granted, it was a beta. Granted, it was free. People could check it out. Everybody's very hype about it right now. But like, I just got back from DreamHack over the weekend. I walked through the BYOC. I was going in between different booths. Everyone and their mother was playing a game, like casual or not. It's a competitive game. Like on PC, it's definitely going to be an esport to watch from Blizzard. And so, you could argue, oh, people in Gears of War aren't going to play Escalation, but like at the same time, if we want the game to grow competitively, we have to make it to where it's a barrier enough that people will want to play it. Like they'll want to play the game, learn the game, get better at the game, learn about esports within Gears of War with ESL or whatever the sponsor is at the time later in life. And we want them to be able to be engaging and join in to play that competitive mode. And so it has to be fun. And I think taking a ring dynamic is something that we've seen in Call of Duty, is something we even saw in Gal J, which I didn't think worked at all. So I'm a little shocked that they went back to a domination style mode. Seems to work, I guess. The mode looks fun. It's just, we can't really make a point, I guess, a factual evidence point until the game is out and the mode is out and polished and people get to play it. Because again, we haven't even played it because people playing the crap out of Overwatch. And granted, it's a new IP, right? And granted, it is a lot of fun just to find your character, and it doesn't really matter so much if you die. It's very cartoony, etc. But like, you get stomped in that game if you've run into a team of 5. That's just how it works. And that's how Gal works. Is if you play a team of 5 by yourself, have fun, So I mean, it's not too different of a scenario.
I'm curious to see
Really.
how it plays out. Because I mean, in any game mode in Gears, if you run into a team of 5, you're playing by yourself, you're gonna get crushed. This seems like it could be
Unless
a
the
lot
team
more.
of 5 is bad.
Yeah,
and you actually have good teammates.
It
which
seems
is
like
a
this could be a
godsend.
lot more severe. But then I think
Potentially.
of Overrun in Judgment, and
Yeah.
that sort of had the same thing where if you ran into a team of 5 and you're playing solo, you're essentially just gonna get crushed. But that still had a fairly large player base. I'm guessing a lot of that was due to the fact that it was a completely different type of mode where you got to play as monsters and human. But
It was a class-based mode. You pick
Yeah.
based off the scenario.
But I guess it was. I'm curious to see how this game mode plays out being it's the same type of thing where it's a new mode and you will get completely dominated if you are running solo compared to as a team.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm just curious to see how much that hurts the game mode.
Okay, fair enough.
I know I probably won't be playing it unless it's a full team that I'm running
Yeah.
with. But
Well, I mean, people say the same thing about Overwatch, but I'm sure you could make the argument that they still played a crap ton of the beta,
yeah.
even by themselves or not, or whether it's a team of one or two. I mean, I know if I played by myself and I ran into a team of 5 in that game, or a team of 5 in Gears, and they actually were working together, you're probably going to lose anyways. But at the same time, maybe you just really like the game and you just play it to play it regardless.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Get better. You can learn a lot, but from losing, and I think that's something that
Yeah.
people don't take into an assessment.
Right.
You can
Especially
learn
competitive players
you
at
can learn a
times.
lot from a loss. And
Yeah.
most people were like, "Oh, I lost." Go back and watch the video, and that'll get into. Thank God that they're sending us for true spectator mode, because that'll play into this whole thing of we can actually do more than just watch one POV in the game. But yeah,
So
we'll
Right.
speaking
get
of
that later.
spectator mode, you want to hop
Uh,
in and talk about that for a little
Oh.
bit?
Sure.
I guess I'm just leading the conversations.
Oh yeah.
So from my perspective, this is the godsend to what I want to do, because I tried doing several times, tried to do VOD reviews for competitive play. The issue is I have one point of view, and it's what the caster decided to focus on. There is a lot of other things that I could have been watching, but they're always looking for the one fight that's all the action. You don't catch all the rotations. It's not like Gears 3 spectator mode where I could kind of ghost cam and pan into what I wanted to see. It really cripples your competitive experience because there's no video of anything aside from one POV every time until they die. There's no way to assess what the mistake was unless you're looking right at the camera. And third, this is something that the system needs because League of Legends has people built in a replay system, and so is CS:GO. Like, we need to have some way to record like a entire like match in a replay mode so that we can go back over it to actually grow these competitive teams and actually have more analysts come in and look at the video and be like, oh, this is what you did wrong, this is what you should have done, let's break this down. What was your thought process here? What can we do better to prevent this happening again?
But are we
That's the good.
actually
I don't know.
actually
That's
going to
just,
be able to have this like sandbox style replay the entire match?
I hope so. Halo did it like what?
Halo 3.
2007.
Yeah, they did it 10 years ago. I mean, the technology's there to do it. I don't understand why you couldn't. I understand it's expensive and then you have to have servers for it.
I doubt we'll be
but
seeing it in Gears 4, which is really unfortunate because I mean, yeah, I really would love that, but
and
I don't know.
and
I mean,
even
from what I saw on the beta, like we won't be able to because people see different outcomes to giblets and bodies and stuff. And if they see different things, that means that
Yeah.
the randomization is still there, which means we won't have theater mode.
There's too much client side, not enough. Not
yeah, but
everything
if
is
you
server
turn
side.
it, but if you just turn the spectator mode into people dying, like you don't need, like I'm not trying to make a montage clip. I'm just trying to assess the information. So if there's no Goron, I don't care.
Turn it into stick figure mode.
Pretty much. Water it down. From a casting aspect, it's great. I talked to Typo. He asked me some questions about what I would want. I said I want hotkeys for every player, so I should have hotkeys for all the players. In Escalation, I should have hotkeys for the hills.
Huh.
And then there was something else. There was a lot of hotkeys, but stuff that I can just click. Oh, and then I can fly the camera on a keyboard with AWSD. So I don't have to use a controller at all because controllers they're in full spectator modes. They aren't going to help anybody.
So, Typo, do you want me to go ahead and pull up your?
Yeah, sure. Pull up, I guess pull up the first one. I guess the one that's on Dam,
The
and then
TDM thing.
yeah, and then we'll move that over to the other one.
All right, let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, I'll be right back, guys.
All right.
Yeah.
1 second. That's too big. Let me make it a little smaller. I'll still cover up our faces anyways. But there we go.
Well, it's got to be big enough that people can actually make out what's going on.
Yeah, I just full screened it there.
Okay. I'm
Um,
not currently on the screen, but I am looking at the image though, so I can
Yeah.
talk based off of that.
Yeah, you can go ahead and talk to
So
it.
so basically, I had mentioned during the broadcast from PAX that a lot of people were commenting that the overlay was really large. I thought so myself. It seemed like it was really creating sort of tunnel vision on the actual action that was happening while trying to watch. This is bad because of the fact that the people trying to watch at home, it's not.
Uh,
Typo.
Typo, you there?
Oh no, typo.
No. What I think he means to say is that the people who just not casually watch this, but don't like they just want to see the action is there's so much stuff happening on the screen that you can't tell you can't see the whole picture and stuff like that. Like you're looking through like a tunnel vision instead of the entire thing. But
Yeah.
with what looks like right here, he shortened down the was it like the character columns or whatever.
Yeah, so here, I'm going to bring up, he has this overlay over top of the old overlay. Dodger, you're going to have a bit of a delay before you can see this.
Yeah, I think I saw it with Oscar, right?
Yeah, so what you guys can
Huzzah!
there
Sorry
you go.
about
Oh,
that.
he's back. That's fine.
Yeah, my wife decided to call me, and that just messed everything up with Skype apparently. Fun stuff.
Here,
Anyways,
I'm going to go back to the dam picture so you can explain that a little bit more, and then
yes,
I'll
Yeah.
pull up
thank
the
you.
big one.
Thank you.
All right, the dam one is up. I know you're on a delay, so
Yeah, it's up.
Yeah,
you talk
I'm
whenever you want.
trying to view it. Okay, yeah. So anyways, the image from PAX, if you go rewatch the video, people were really complaining that it caused a lot of tunnel vision. Is what I was trying to make a point. Where basically the action wasn't as easily seen to the player at home trying to watch it. The UI that they've created for the spectator mode is very large. You could argue that the controls at the bottom for the casters, the camera mode, cycle player, all that stuff, that should be able to be toggled off, which I'm sure it
It
might
can.
be.
It is.
But they later toggled it off in the thing. Really, it should just pretty much never be there. It's so big. But then what's interesting about the PAX overlay is that it looks like assets within the spectator mode are actually bumped down on the screen, and they're not in their original positions as they are in the TDM screenshot that's probably up right now. However, things get really tight for the players, and they get very elongated. So if you want to switch to the other image just to compare how much smaller this thing that I've designed is, um, on top of the one that's pre-existing in the game, just so they get an idea, that'd be great.
Yep, I have that up now.
Cool. So as you can see, it's almost like a good third smaller, and it's been bumped over a little more out of the way. So you have a lot more action that you're able to see in the center of the screen there. It's basically falling right in line with the cog and swarm symbols, your objectives, your kill feed, and then on the opposite side, it's falling underneath the current active weapon. However, if you actually switch back to the dam image, just because it's a little cleaner to interpret,
All right.
um, there's actually a lot of things going on within this smaller space that give you more information at home as a viewer and also as an analyst or caster while you're casting the game from a live event. So unlike the overlay we saw at PAX we do see the four weapons. Obviously, we're able to tell that they have one of four out, and if they pocket, say, a boom shot or a drop shot or something like that, you're still able to see that in this overlay that I've created. However, it's more in the D-pad fashion.
I lost his audio.
Yep, we lost his audio again. He may have gotten another call.
But when you said about like
Mother of
toggling,
God. If
There
people
he
Oh,
is.
would
there it
stop
is.
calling me, that would be great.
Who
Oh
is
my
calling
lord.
you?
Everyone is calling me. Everyone.
Everyone's seeing your overlay and they
There,
gotta
there,
call you,
there-
man.
there's an amazing thing called turning off your phone.
I can't because I'm having to talk on Skype right now from my phone, not from my computer. Um,
Uh,
yeah, my daughter wouldn't go to sleep unless I sit her down in a chair, which is in an opposite room. Anyways, back to hopefully no one calling me. Yeah, I've rearranged the weapons in
well,
a D-pad
let me
format.
type your phone number into the chat. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my god. Uh, I've rearranged the weapons in a classic Gears of War D-pad format that everybody should understand. Up is smoke, down is snub, etc. So you're still able to see those weapons. However, the space is now smaller on the screen. The actual size of the weapons, though, hasn't changed at all from what it was in the PAX overlay. So it's the exact same size icon, just in a smaller area. And if you're familiar with Call of Duty, since they play a lot of objective modes similar to Escalation, like Hardpoint, they actually track two statistics that weren't being tracked at all in the PAX overlay, and that's kill streaks for the player and objective time per player. So now I've actually added that in this, but yet still keep in mind it's a smaller space. So you're getting more information as the viewer at home. You know this player's doing a really amazing job slaying. That's the reason they're winning this round. This player's doing a great job from a objective perspective. You know, they've got 40 seconds of uncontested hill time. You know, that's the key to their victory right now. Like casters can draw kind of a storyline based off those statistics they're now able to
Yeah,
see that previously
much more
weren't
easier.
being shown. And then it still shows when a player's getting hurt. Like if you look at the actual PAX overlay, I was really confused the first time I saw it, but those five
Yeah,
bars that go across underneath their name is actually their health. It's supposed to mention like when they're 4 pointed, 5 pointed, etc. down. Um, I felt that was a little odd. I didn't like even as a very avid veteran to the series. It took me a moment to realize what those actually meant, and it's because we've never really seen health displayed that way within Gears of War. So my initial thought was to try to display it just as we know as the player, seeing the Crimson Omen coming up in a 4 pointed fashion. But then I realized no, I can just continue to keep kind of a bar graph there. However, divide that section over the player avatar into 5 sections. So the space is actually like 55 pixels. So divide by 5. Each bar is 11 pixels tall. Um, and then of course if a player is dead, then the omen skull comes up, and if they were down, just similar to the PAX overlay, they would show a downed icon or arrow. So basically you're getting a lot more for less. It's still able to fill a full player gamer tag. It's showing more statistics, showing all four weapons. It's showing everything that you need to know in less space than what they showed off at PAX, which basically helps the viewer experience and helps the casters as they're trying to deliver that storyline to you at home.
And I can tie into this. The other thing I forgot to tell Typo to add, and I came up to it when I sent a message in. CS:GO does KDA, like just little numbers that just say KDA across of it, and it would add on like he could do it within 30 pixels, and we would know how each player is doing statistically, and it's still almost half the size, like probably a third of the size smaller than their entire thing, like the entire thing.
It's about 2/3 of
Yeah.
the size, maybe a little smaller, but regardless, you're getting so much more screen real estate out of this sort of overlay.
yeah.
So I've submitted that as feedback, and obviously we're talking over it now. And I mean, anyone in the chat, anyone watching the rebroadcast, feel free to give comment on it if you like it, if you don't like it. But that was just my initial thought. I mocked this whole thing up in about 2 hours, just kind of after work one day. And so, I think that it works really well. I'm not saying obviously it's going to be in the game, but hopefully they are listening to our feedback, as a very passionate community. And, if we think that something can be better, or if they agree with us that something can be tweaked to be better, from a viewer experience, hopefully they're listening and they really like some of the ideas that at least we're showing.
I personally like typos better because from a casting standpoint and an analyst standpoint, I don't care about 4 red or 5 red bars across the screen to tell me if they're 4 pointed or 5 pointed. Like that's neither here nor there. I don't care if I can look at the picture and just assess it from there. I would be much happier with that. And even the weapons, I just need to know who has what and how many grenades. That's literally all the information I need to make an assessment and a judgment call about what play is going to be made, where they're going to rotate to. You don't
Yeah.
need it any more convoluted than that. I mean, it's nice, it's great, it works, but at the same time, less is more with that because we can literally cut out some of the overlay stuff that they have and just make it so that, like I said, those little KDA things on there make it. If all the information's on the screen, it's way easier for a new viewer to come in and be like, oh, I can kind of understand what's going on. And it makes it easier for a caster, hey, these red lines that are under the screen, that's their health bars. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
What?
even as a, like I said, a veteran to this franchise, I had to ask what was that because it didn't make sense to me. Um, and so I think that the way it's being displayed currently that we saw at PAX is very confusing and just overly just larger than it needs to be. And that's really the main issue.
Yeah, and I mean, look. So I brought up the one from PAX again. Look how much blank real estate there is on the overlay itself. It's taking up too much of the screen, and you have all this blank space next to their gamer tag that has nothing in it. Type of
Yeah.
you show the same amount of information plus some. Like you show all
Yeah.
the stuff that's in there plus some, and you take up less space.
and Gears is a different
Exactly.
game. Like, this is different than CS:GO, as it's not a first person, and you can kind of assess the entire screen off of it. And League of Legends or Call of Duty, we like seeing all the action on the screen. So in Gears overlays, less is more because
Hmm.
they want us to be able to see everything that's going on. It's third person, it's over the shoulder. We need to have more camera view, not more overlay. Like, if the API is able to assess it and we're able to like just do stat tracker like that at the end, cool. But this is way easier for me to use than the other one, and it at least has some jump cameras, has keyboard settings, and honestly, we're gonna need. I said this. We're gonna need professional spectators for this. Uh, Hate to break it, but CS:GO does not have the casters. Do not drive the camera. We've done it, and I've been there. We've done it for a long time. I think the best driver we've ever had is Jay Ribs, but he's a competitor, so I'm not going to be able to utilize that tool to show where the action should be.
Right.
So we are going to have someone who's a professional spectator now, who knows the mode, that can pick fights and guide the casters about where the action's going to be, because we funnel through cameras like it's our job, trying to find the fight,
Yeah. And I
and it's
think
confusing.
another thing too, and I think Chaps, maybe we talked about it before a couple days ago, but some people may arguably not understand what the hash symbol in time, like clock symbol, mean, but that really, as the caster, like that's your job to draw attention to the fact that that is signifying if that's a streak or how much time that is. Honestly, like as somebody gets another kill, maybe it could blink that it's being updated, going from like 6 to 7 in terms of a streak or something like that, so that the viewer could understand that it's going up. But really, like that information is based on iconography that has also, like I said, already been used or seen and familiar from other games like Call of Duty. So most players, say you did have Call of Duty players coming over to Gears of War, they would already understand, based off the tournament overlay with that icon, they would already understand what it means. But really, that's still your job, as a caster, to draw attention to that. So yeah, it's good that you have more things on screen, but it still needs to be concise enough that the viewer at home understands it. So I was trying to really take what was already done, not really reinvent the wheel, but condense and show less. Show more in less space.
Yeah.
I just want to say that Typo's overlay that he did for One Umbrella 9 reinvented the wheel, and it was awesome. It was probably the coolest overlay that we've ever gotten, because there was so much screen space. Like, we had so much space. There was so much room for activities, and there was a ton of action.
Yeah.
And then everyone's all like, this overlay is kind of confusing. I was like, it's great. I love it, because I could tell what's going on. It just required Murray to be on point the entire time we ran a tournament.
Yeah, we actually spoke about that this weekend. Murray and I did, when we were down in Austin, and he said the same thing. Is like the first time I saw it, I was talking with Blaze about it, and we thought that it was it's a little weird. We didn't know if we liked it, and then like as we began to use it, as we began to understand, how concise the information was and where everything was at, like it made the most sense. And so, that was probably like a week-long project that I pretty much just dropped everything in my free time and spent a lot of time trying to do that. And so, it's not like I just throw things together and rush stuff out. I really try to put a lot of thought and effort. And though I did make this particular thing in 2 hours, the idea had been resonating in my head for ever since I saw it at PAX, or the stream from PAX. And then I know I talked about it with you and other competitive players. So like, I already had all the information laid out. I just had to go execute at that point. So it didn't take as long.
Yeah.
I think that's the. I think final point on that. I think that's the biggest thing is accessibility, not just with the game, but as like across the board. Like we were in a conversation with Fatal, and we said the same thing. The game has to be accessible on every level, from the viewership to the casting to the players. Everything has to sync up because we're gonna go into this holiday season, which we'll talk about later, and this game is not like 10 out of 10, it's going to be a rough holiday for Gears of War. It just is. Everything has to be on point, and that's why we bring up all this information. And it may seem ultra critical or anything, but we're trying to bring up the points before we get there, and we're like, well, why didn't you say anything before? Because we figured you guys knew all this information before. Our bad.
So the last thing I want to bring up about this spectator mode is something that hasn't really gotten a lot of talk about it, and that's, so looking at the image right here of the gameplay from PAX, you see you can hit right bumper and go to the target cam. What are your guys' thoughts on that? I thought it was a nice little feature to have.
Oh, the jump cam? I think it's awesome.
No, the target cam where it zooms out to like an extended third-person view, and they can rotate around the character. It seems they can get.
It took it to. I think it's good, and it'll be good for if those in certain instances, if it's not abused, where people are just hitting it to hit it, like you're in a fight and then all of a sudden you zoom out as like the kill's about to happen or something. I like that aspect of it, but I want someone who knows what they're doing with that camera to utilize that to show different action sequences for like replay value or stuff like that. Not. Okay. In game, it's kind of tricky. You have to really, because in Gears 3, when I was doing ghost camming, all the competitive players were like, "Why are you ghost camming all the fights on the hills? We want to see that." Well, sometimes you need to show the objective and where everybody's lining up to, because we have this tool and nobody likes using it because we just focus on the guys in the hill. There's more going on to the game than just the guy who we're focusing on. Yes, we may miss a triple kill inside of the hill, but seeing the setup that the other team's coming with is just as important. So it's weighing information.
Okay.
Yep.
Is there anything else you guys want to talk about for spectator mode?
I'm just glad that you can toggle everything off. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it's nice that you can toggle all the stuff off, but the thing is if you're gonna have to toggle it on, at least don't make it so large that it's distracting from the action. That was really the whole goal,
Yeah, there's too much horizontal stuff.
Yeah. Alright, well, I'm going to clear these images off and go back to our pretty faces. Hey,
okay.
And type a little godlike thing.
Sorry, guys.
Alright, so the next thing I wanted to talk about was the ranking system. I think we hit on this a little bit last week, but the main thing for me is they have, in the beta, it was a like team-based thing where it was based on rounds won and rounds lost. They really need to have a like personal skill-based system. The closest we had was that launch of Gears 2, and apparently running in the background of Gears 3 as well. But I don't think anybody really believes that it was functioning as well as it should.
Yeah, no. So, true skill isn't a functioning thing at all.
they'll get in arguments, and I know that Node Zero has gone on Twitter and started arguments saying that the baseline formula is correct. Well, anybody who can do math, yes, it eventually will add up, but there are other things that you need to take into account for aside from just winners and losers. Because the way that the system in True Scale works out is it gives you, after 10 matches, it gives you a level, and then it throws you into matchmaking with people above and below your level, and then it predicts if you should win or lose. But it has nothing based on how your performance is. It's just based on winning or losing, and if you should have won or lost. Um, it's bad in the instance of you should be playing people. Should be other things accounted for um, when you're making matchmaking. If you're going in against a group of 5, yes, like base ranking and other stuff. Like in League of Legends, they have solo queue. In StarCraft, they have like different divisions that you can play in, and it ranks you up based on that, and then you can play 2v2s or wherever, and it balances out where you should be based on winning or losing, and then drops you. It's matchmaking is one of the hardest things to cover because unless we have like the visual diagrams for it, it's very convoluted. Essentially, the biggest thing that they need to do is they need to take into account player performance, win-loss ratio, and then
I have like points per death, damage per death,
that stuff's good.
objective-based stats. How long did you hold the hill for?
I mean, even objective-based stats would be good. That kind of stuff, like kill, death, assist, like objective points, and then and win and loss. Because you could be like on the top of the board and lose, and you shouldn't be punished.
Right.
Well, but I do remember at one point there was a thread late Gal 3. Somebody had started called the player efficiency rating. Do y'all guys remember that?
I remember that. That was good.
Yeah, I mean it's like way too deep of a system. It was like loosely based off ELO, but it took way too many factors into play. I remember Rod Ferguson retweeted it though, saying it was a good idea.
Right.
And it wasn't a bad idea, but there was just a lot of variables he was attempting to track and calculate, and I don't really remember if anything ever came out of it. But to reel it back though into like True Scale, so True Scale's been around a really long time. Really started seeing it popularized with Halo 2, except that system worked like very quickly. If you lost a game, you went down. If you won a game, you went up, sort of deal.
Halo 3's system I really loved personally.
Yeah, but the other thing though was that once you moved into high ranks of Halo 2, you just got a lot of bridging and cheating, and no one really ever got anything legitimately. For the most part, like it was just it was the Wild West at higher ranks. And then Halo 3, so like Halo 3 is such a broken system where basically you could be classified as a type of player and a type of skill set in like as little as 15 matches. And so basically you didn't have to play a whole lot for that to put you somewhere, but yet there is as many as like 45 matches you could be then stuck in a class, and then it was really hard to get out of said class of matches. So basically that's where you started to realize, I could be a level 42 and win like 10 games in a row, go up to 43, lose one game, go right back down, and that doesn't feel very rewarding either. So that's known as level locking. And then you had people that abuse the system based off of XP gained, where like you could basically have a Smurf account that you intentionally lost a ton of matches on, and then go into doubles with your friend's new account, and then intentionally just having lost so many games, whenever the bad player wins, the game over rewards XP, but since you're with them, it rewards you the same amount. So all of a sudden you're going from like a level 7 to like a level 14, or not maybe that high, but like it would go really quickly. You would progress much faster than you're intended to. And so that's why you'd see people with rank 50 in doubles after only like 18, 19 games played, if done correctly. And that, shouldn't happen either necessarily. So the whole system got hidden in Halo 4. The system, reeling it back was also the system used in in Shadowrun in like 2008 or whatever. So I mean, like, it's been that thing that's always been there, but it's been broken in ways, and players have known how to manipulate it. So like that's why in Halo 4 it just they removed it from sight, and players got really upset about that. But yet it was still there underlying, and then GAU 3 it's still there underlying. But it never really seems like it works because it doesn't really work.
Another
So
thing I see that can really bias the true skill system is there's a good example of this from the beta is the fact that it's rolling lobbies. So there were some people who got in against some just like garbage players and played
yeah,
them for their 5 placement matches or whatever it was, and they got like an
yeah,
Onyx or Diamond tier or whatever.
right,
It's like, you guys aren't good. You just played a bunch of garbage against garbage people for your 5 games in a row. It was a rolling
right.
lobby.
And I definitely have some points I want to make on the 5 games thing. I think it's way too short, but I actually got to take a break really quick. I'll be right back in like 2 minutes. But yeah, let me go do that, and I'll be back.
Okay.
All right.
I here's the thing: is StarCraft finally? If we're talking about matchmaking, like StarCraft went in and hired somebody to rewrite their matchmaking code, and StarCraft has probably had the best matchmaking that I've ever played against. Just because I didn't ever feel I was getting outplaced or put in a position where I was going to get stomped. I felt like I was playing against a player within my skill level, which is nice. And that also changed from where I was, I think, Diamond 1 in singles the first season, and then back at season 8, I think I only placed in Platinum because it people got better and learned how to use macros, and I stopped playing as much as I had. But at the same time, it matched you against similarly skilled opponents where it didn't feel like you were going to get stopped all the time, and then it had a point system to where you could get promoted out and move up a division, but you had to win win a certain amount of games or earn a certain amount of points to like tier out. And if you lost more games, it was harder to level up and move out. It's pretty much an elo system, and the good thing is that the guys from Halo during Halo 4 hired that guy to rewrite their matchmaking system for Halo 5 and Halo 4. So if that's anything, there's a guy in Redmond that could probably rewrite of all Gears matchmaking code and fix it. But we'll see if that happens. Because there's got to be
Just a quick question for curiosity. What race were you in StarCraft?
Protoss mostly.
Yes, the Brotoss.
It's all it's about. It's always about the Protoss. But yeah, just a basic assessment of the matchmaking. I think it's a big issue, especially going in. I almost think that there needs to be team-based queues and solo-based queues. Just if you want to play with the team, you play in the team-based queue, and you don't get, and it's just matches people. If you're playing in the team-based queue and you're playing solo, well, you're playing in that queue. And then the other one, you have true solo queue, where it's just you're playing. Everybody is random, and you can't stack it in any way. And I think that would be a better way to do it. If you want to know your true level of where you're at, solo queue. If you want to know where you're at with the team, team-based queue, because that'll help solve a lot of the issues of. There are people that just want to lone wolf it. They shouldn't be really punished for not having people to play with.
They made the mercenary playlist in Gears for.
But nobody played it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did y'all cover? Sorry, I just got back. Did y'all cover the ranks and how you get ranked in the beta?
I didn't cover that. I talked about the StarCraft system and how they did it, and then they hired that guy to go to Halo.
Oh.
It was
yeah.
genius.
So like, honestly, I feel, and this is really sad to say, because I feel like in a lot of ways, Halo kids don't really know how spoiled or how much like awesome stuff they actually have. We like the features that they got in Halo 2, like as far back as 2004, are things like other games don't even have in 2016. Like it's pretty crazy, but the way that you get ranked in Halo 5 is great. I think that the system works pretty well. To a degree, like it sometimes it's questionable. Like you might carry somebody and he gets placed higher than you. But I still think playing out 10 matches is better than playing out 5, because I almost feel like teamwork in Gears is arguably more important than a game like Halo, where you can kind of backpack a team.
I'd be fine with going to 5 or going to 10.
Yeah, like I feel like honestly, if you play dodgeball, it does not take any time at all to
No,
get
it's
5
really
ranked
quick.
games played. Like it's so fast, or has the potential to be so fast. So I don't understand why they did it for 5. Maybe it was for the beta. They just wanted to, get people in and doing that really quickly. I don't know. It could obviously all change by the time the final game came out. For Halo 5's beta, I think we discussed last time it lasted 3 weeks, but its ranks actually changed from the beta to final. They changed the names of them, how they were reordered. They might have added one. I can't quite remember. So I don't think we've seen final form of any of that. Obviously, like we're gonna see some changes, but I didn't like obviously in the beta how we couldn't see any progression happening until the next day.
Even
Um,
then.
yeah, and even
Yeah,
then,
even
like
then
like
we
it
didn't
didn't make
have
any sense.
enough.
I feel like I went like 50-3 in dodgeball, maybe, and
Yeah.
I feel like why am I still a silver 3? Like, didn't make
Yeah,
any
that happened
sense.
to me. Dodger and I were running train on people in dodgeball, and
Like 50-2 or something like that, and I would be MVP like 40 of the games or something,
Yeah,
and still silver 3.
yeah, no, the ranks definitely seem very broken within the beta. Um, so I'm sure that's something that'll get hammered out a bit by launch. But I definitely think that we should play more than 5 games to get ranked. I feel like we should play closer to 10, if not 10, in order to get put in a class. To hit on what Waldo is saying, either doing something like a mercenary playlist where you truly have a solo queue would be nice, or like what other people have been saying, if you're honestly wanting to lone wolf it, like where is free for all at? We really all kind of enjoyed free for all and Master at Arms with Judgment.
yeah,
Like again, Judgment as a whole overall, was a terrible game, but there were things that it did that we did enjoy, that we liked as a community, and that was one of them. The aspect of not having DBNO was weird, but aside from that, I think people really like the playlist, and I think personally, like you need to have options. Like that's really the best thing. You don't need to have like 30 some odd playlist options like Judgment had, but you need to narrow it down to maybe 10 playlists. But you still need to give people an option if they're by themselves to go play like a warm up, like a FFA. Competitive players, they'll start up a King of the Hill or something in Gal 3. And they would just basically play a free for all. They'd have friendly fire on, and so they would essentially play free for all. So free for all is something we see in other games that is very popular.
remove
Um,
Warzone, add free for all. Game done.
yeah, like
Ugh.
really, like we shouldn't have Warzone at all, but we should definitely have free for all. I'm really kind of sad that it's not in there. If they did add it, I would want it to work off of time. I feel like 10 minutes is definitely sufficient enough for a full game of free for all. I don't feel that you should go to a limit, because me as a player, if I join a game, especially if it's joined in progress, like if I join a game and I see someone has 22 and I have like 14, or let's say I didn't join the game, but regardless, I have like 14 and they have 22, I almost feel like I shouldn't even try, right?
Yeah,
Like, what's the point? Like, he only needs 3 kills. There's no way I'm bringing this back. 9 kills in Gao alone. You're just having to go completely crazy on kids. So even if you try your heart out, you're probably not going to win. And most players, honestly, are just going to give up at that point. And then that makes it a less fun game. Like a conclusion of the game is never very fun when everybody just kind of stops playing. And so if you give it to time, it's one of those things where it's like, you know what, I still know I have 3 minutes left. I can maybe catch up 9 kills in 3 minutes. He only has to get 3, but maybe I can get 9 kills in 3 minutes because he's not going to 25 anymore. He's going to the time.
or
And so I might be able to catch him in that time. And so that's how I know, like, Halo FFAs back in Halo 2, whenever they actually meant something at competitive events based on how you would get seeded as a team. They were used for that for a long time, but basically it's still operated off of a time limit. And then if 2 people, I'm sorry, were to tie, and it got broken down. Okay, well, who had the least amount of deaths? And if it wasn't deaths, then all right, who had the most assists? And if it wasn't assist, like there was always a stat. And the furthest it would ever get broken down to is a coin toss, which obviously online you can't do a physical in-person coin toss. But even then, like you got a computer generated 50% chance coin toss that you can do, but that's after like breaking down like so many different factors. How many downs, how much damage dealt. You would literally have to tie on like 7 different things to get to that point. So don't feel like your matches, if you tie somebody, are going to be ultimately decided by a coin toss. The probability of that is so bizarre. But I would love for that. So that's option right there, is you're getting people instantly in the game, even if you're playing alone. And then the other option is you have a 2v2 playlist. Now, granted, the maps are pretty large from what we saw in the beta, but if you still
Brothers to
run to
the
the
end thing.
middle, yeah, if you still run to the middle and you funnel, based off power weapons, you have good map flow based on where your power weapons are. Like a 2v2 is still going to be exciting and fun to play. You're still going to choose an area of the map to hold and people to rush. So 2v2 is extremely crucial because there are a lot of friends. I have like that one friend that I always play Gal with, or maybe again, like Gears of War initially was very engaging as a co-op player game. Like you played through the campaign with your one friend, and then maybe you want to go both tackle multiplayer together. Guess what? There's an actual playlist for you, and that's 2v2. You don't have to dive in and look for 5 more people, or I'm sorry, 3 more people on your squad. So options are super important, and I think that it's not a slap in the face, but I just think that it's really odd that we're all the way in 2016. We're 10 years plus on this franchise, and like we're just not releasing playlists that players want to see.
Because I feel like they want to just, again, it falls into that thing. Let's be new and innovative, and let's not make sensive decisions, and that really bothers me on a core level. I'll tap in just previously because I want to add it in League of Legends. In your first 5 placement matches, that puts you in the ballpark for your rank, and then in the next 5 of the 10 fine tunes where you should be exactly, if that makes sense. So if you win,
Puts you in silver, gold, bronze, and then it figures out 1, 2, or 3 essentially.
pretty much, which I think is a good system. That you should never be placed higher than platinum. Let's put it like that.
Yeah.
Like if they're doing gears, you should never be placed diamond. You should have to climb to diamond. Like you should be able to put them in like the 4 tiers if you win all 10 games, or if you beat really complicated opponents that you got matched up against, then we can talk about it. But you should never be placed higher than platinum in any like original mode, just because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't grow the system. A majority of your player base is going to be stuck in silver. Like, that's how League of Legends is. I think there's rankings in CSGO, and a majority of the player base is stuck. Like, I think League of Legends, 75% of the player base is in silver and bronze. So that just tells you how much harder it is to get higher up than that. Yeah, and then playlists, they need to... I already said it, Warzone needs to go. They need to really reconstruct their playlist and pick out what's actually going to work and what you're going to give ranks to. Like, Halo's, I feel, does a good job. I don't think that there's anything out of sorts with Halo 5's playlists. I like playing Arena, and I've always liked playing SWAT, so SWAT's the one that I always go to. But if I want to play Breakout, I can play Breakout. So, I mean, 5 playlists at the most that are there for ranks, and then you can have the fun ones or the social playlists, which would be something different.
So, here's something that I brought up, I think, like a year or 2 ago on Tac-Com, and sort of just forgot about it. I went back and I played Titanfall the other day for the first time in like over a year. And I saw the rank chip on there. And do you guys know what the rank chip is in Titanfall? It's something
I played Titanfall for like I checked it out for my work, like for quick, and then after I got done with it, I played like 1 day, and I was like, yeah, this game's great. I'm gonna take it back now.
So, all right, the rank chip is you can turn on or off ranking. So, how I would use this for Gears is, say I'm playing during the week and I'm actually playing to win. I turn on my rank chip. Then Friday night hits and I'm having a bunch of drinks with my friends and we're getting drunk playing Gears online. I turn off my rank chip, so it's no longer tracking my skill. You don't turn it on like between matches. You turn it on or off prior to like searching for matches. So it's not like, oh god, this is a stacked team, I'm going to turn it off. It's okay, what type of mood am I in? Do I want to play with my rank chip on or play with it off? So that's
I
I'd be
I
interested
would
to
like
see
it.
that.
I would like that because then at least if I there's time. Okay, so we all play video games, and some of us like to play Gears with beers. Like if we're drinking, I want to turn my ranking off so that I don't get penalized for not taking the game seriously. So that would be a cool thing.
It's like
But I can also see the other aspects of it too.
Well, the real question I have about that is so to play like devil's advocate with it. One thing that's awesome about Halo is that its ranks do work. One thing that is bad about Halo is if, again, in your scenario, if you're playing late at night with your friends and you're not really caring so much, about how well you play, you're just kind of trying to have fun, but yet you still want to play arena. You're gonna have to sweat at 4 a.m. or whatever the situation is, because that's where you're placed. If you go in and you're ranked Onyx, sorry, like you just got to play other Onyx opponents, no matter what time of day it is or what your current status is. But yet, if you had the ability to turn off said rank chip or ship, or I don't remember what you said, if you turned it off, how does that affect the other players? Like if they're trying to play and actually rank up, are they getting progression even though you're not trying? Because then that makes them, kind of have a false sense of progression.
yeah, I'm not quite sure what it does for the players that you're playing against. I don't know if it keeps track of like, hey, your chip is off, so this is your skill level, or hey, your chip is on, so here's your skill level. I'm not sure how it tracks it, but I mean, sort of like what you were saying on Halo. Breakout is one of the only modes that I played, and actually, like, I didn't really care too much about my rank, but when I played Breakout, I played to win. And it's like, okay, I'm just playing for fun right now. I'm not really trying to win. I might want to play Breakout, but it's like, I'm not really in the mood for trying hard, so I'm not going to go play that. It'd be nice to be able to, like, play that game without having any penalty on my rank. So
Yeah, I don't know. I think it'd be a deferring playlist, which defeats the purpose of what we're talking about because it would put you into a sub queue and not the main queue. If that makes sense.
yeah, and I think seasons also help with that. It's like, okay, yeah, go ahead, play just for fun. It's only going to affect you this season. Next season, there's new rankings. Those nights aren't going to bother you anymore. I don't know.
Good to know.
But yeah, that's all I really have on ranking system. Do you guys have
Cool.
anything else you want to talk about for that?
No.
All right, I'm going to move on to a very fun topic, and that is the DLC model.
Oh, boy.
Fun.
So
I
everybody,
really want to hear your thing on this because I've been reading over it and I want to understand your points better before I make comments on it.
Yeah.
Oh, did you
I
see
want to
my
know what you have to say.
did you
Really.
hear or see my thread earlier?
Yeah, I did, and I was like, I want to hear what the
Yeah.
actual thing is before I start making comments because
So I'll explain it a little bit more. So the whole I linked my thing right there, by the way, but the first part of my post is all about what content do we get in the season pass compared to the other games, and to me it seems like it's overpriced. We're getting a bunch of aesthetic stuff or stuff that's unlockable in game, and then 24 maps that are available for private matches. You can already play them online, but now they're available for private match. Then you get 4-day early access, and they're charging us $50 for it. I have a huge problem with the early access thing, but talk about that some other time, or go read Tell Devil's post on it. The second part of my thread is all about. I mean, it's a really simple profit curve. I'm sure people at Microsoft believe that they're at what I listed as the green point. It's the peak of that curve. It's where they're getting the most profit. But I feel that because the season pass is overpriced, we're to the right of that peak, where you have less people buying the game, but they are they're paying more for it. So that's hurting the people like us, the the hardcore fans who are going to be paying the extra money. There's going to be less people. What's that?
My question is the game going to last long enough for the season pass to even be worth it? The true question. And I hate being that guy, but this is where this ties into
your holiday thing.
Yeah, this ties all into the holiday as well. But this is my question as well, because I'll spend the money because I like season pass content. That's what I like. But at the same time, you have to make a really hard assessment of why this ties in. Yeah, we're getting all this stuff, and we're getting access to all these maps, but aside from the hardcore, are we gonna captivate the rest of the audience to want to use the season pass and use those games in private matches and to get better at the game? Really comes down to how good the game is off the launch, and they've got 1 week before the drop of Battlefield 1, which is really scary if anybody has realized how brilliant DICE is in any scope of the terminology. That was the best gameplay trailer that I've seen in 5 years. The best intro to a game that I have seen. And they announced that they're not going into space. They're going back and making a skill-based game that is just fun and skillful, and probably going to be pretty balanced because DICE is really good about post-patch stuff. So
yeah, I don't know. I think you're right. It's definitely a brilliant thing, and I think none of us want to see a Judgment sort of situation where the game really kind of didn't last to make the content seem worth like you're having to pay for it. I don't know. I don't have too many issues with the current model that they have. Like, I understand the frustration. Again,
I'm fine with the model that they have. It's the price point.
Yeah, like I just wish that they would do us all a solid and go the same step. Like I guess the thing I don't quite understand, and granted it's a different studio, but it's still Microsoft. It's like, hey, you've given us this price, or you've given us this model that players really really love with H5, where you buy the game, everyone gets all the DLC for free, no strings attached. You just get the DLC, period. And with this, it's like, you get DLC, but we take it away. And if you really want it, you should buy it. Also, you should buy it because you're going to get to play it early. And there's like skins and stuff. And who doesn't like skins? So it's like, it's almost like the term Indian giving, like that. It's kind of weird. And I don't really mind it too much because like I probably am going to really enjoy the maps and I'm going to want to play them in private matches. But I've already seen plenty of people. I've already seen in Horde. Like if you're a big Horde player, you're pretty much forced to buy them, right? Like that's kind of annoying. But like I've already seen a lot of people question, well, who the heck plays private matches? Every competitive player, every person who cares for Horde, like it's almost forcing you to do something. And I don't feel like we should ever be as consumers, forced into a decision.
Look at the look at the price of. I mean, throw away all the gimmicks like the emblem and the bounty card and the dev playlist. Like, throw that stuff out. Look at the price of the maps. You're essentially paying $50 for 24 maps. It's about $2 a map, which on average, when you compare that to the other Gears games, it's about the same. You're paying $2 per map, and you're like, oh, okay, so it's not a bad deal. And then you realize, oh, I'm only paying for the private map access. In the other games, a majority of your time is spent playing online, and you are paying for that. Now you're getting that for free. So you could make the argument, well, you're paying the same amount for the maps, but now you're just getting a little bonus. Other people are getting some stuff for free. But most people are going to look at it with the argument of, those people are getting something for free, so now I'm spending extra money on nothing.
I just want to say, like, has anyone ever played Gears of War? And how many good maps have we ever gotten?
Gears 2.
In DLC.
I would say a good...
That would be considered balanced and not stupid.
I would say a good 20. Like,
Through all
like
of it, I think
through all the Gears games, I think I could list and not having duplicates like Gridlock from Gears 1, Gridlock from Gears 2, like no
Gridlock should just
duplicates.
never come back. It's
I know you love Gridlock.
I'm so tilted about that. But aside from that, that's really the assessment. If you're a competitive player, you have to buy the season pass because what happens when the maps are picked and one of the maps goes out of rotation and they're like, oh, here's the new map. Well, to practice on that map, everybody has to have the season pass, so they're kind of forcing.
Well,
Just
no,
one person.
just one person. So you need one
The
person
host
on your
has to.
team.
One.
The
But
host.
yeah, you're still that's still not okay because then what happens to tournament organizers? Like, not all the time. I've been there. We've done this stuff where we've had to go to events. We've got to load everybody's gamer tags on, and what happens if the server doesn't connect right or something goes wrong on LAN? There's questions with this that I have. That now I'm thinking about it, I have questions.
But
And no one's gonna guarantee like, oh, these maps are the maps that we're getting. They could give us blood drive again, and we could all have to just have a mass suicide over that. I mean, this could happen.
and that's a
Because they like-
competitive aspect. And then think of another social one where it's like, okay, I'll hop on and I'll run with Dodger, Parasidian, Jess, and Schwartz, and it's like, okay, those are the people I run with. I'm gonna play private. Most of the time, I'll play private with them. Only
We don't play with Sid anymore. What are you talking about? He's gone to
It's
the
like-
dark side.
say only Dodger has the season pass. Then it's like, yay, okay, we can all still play private. But then he also has 4 days early access to the game. And from the casual perspective, is it like, are they really gonna expect us to say, oh, only one of our friends needs to get the season pass, and he'll get 4 days early access, and then we're all just like sitting around for 4 days? I hate saying that because the aspect of paying for early access really bothers me, but there's a lot of people out there who are getting the season pass for the early access.
I wouldn't even care about the early access. Like
See-
in all thing, like, oh, I get to play the game early.
Well, it's not
Or-
just that you get to play the game early. I mean, everyone knows that the normal release schedule in America is that you're going to have a game come out on Tuesday. So the other bonus of getting it early is you're going to get it that Friday, so you can
Okay.
play all weekend long. When you're typically off and you have that time. And
You
so
have a
again,
normal
it's like
schedule.
ideally this would be when I want to play the game. I guess I'm just forced to pay the money.
And it's not, for me, it's not even playing it. Whoa, almost knocked me over my controller. It's not even playing it early as much as it is not playing it with all of my friends who are getting it early. It's like, if everybody had to wait till Tuesday, I was fine. If everybody got it on Friday, that would be excellent. But seeing all of my friends get to play it Friday and then me waiting, oh, well, I've got to wait till Tuesday, that's sort of a killer.
Yeah. I don't know. That makes it really hard. I mean, early access will help them. That gives them an extra 3 days, but not by much, because we'll transition. We just might as well transition to this. If anyone paid any attention, we talked about Battlefield 1. It literally drops right after Gears, like a week after Gears. Their early access is Gears drops the 11th officially. This one, early access, starts the 18th. So within 10 days, the most long-awaited Battlefield game is going to drop. And we're going into the holiday, and this is what I said in my video. If you're doing any sort of assessment into like a market, Call of Duty, everyone's going to buy Call of Duty. There's a reason that there aren't games on the set first week of November. It's Call of Duty week. It'll be released on November 4th every year or in some fashion within those days, and you'll have Call of Duty, and then nobody wants to play this Call of Duty. We all want Modern Warfare Remaster, but we're literally all going to buy the game to trade it back in and just take the code for Modern Warfare because nobody wants to play in space. That's literally what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because no one cares. No one cares about jumping in space. It goes back to that whole point of you're not reading what the audience is. We've gone to the point where we pushed all these games way further and further along, and we just forgot to make it skilled and balanced, and now everybody's like, "Oh, you're releasing the skilled and balanced game, and you're releasing this other garbage that gonna make me jetpack through space." Don't
It's
care.
very similar to what we talked about earlier, where with Gears of War they add too much gimmicky stuff, and it diluted the thing. It was just a mess.
It
Like,
doesn't make it fun. It makes it
yeah,
boring. It makes it cheesy, and nobody wants to do it. And then someone like DICE comes around and like, "Hey, we don't like any of this space crap. We're taking you to World War One, where
hell yeah.
there's logic and there's guns that shoot bullets and there's planes and tanks and battleships and you can kill somebody with a shovel." And everybody's like, "This is brilliant. Where's this game been?"
Brilliant.
Because we're all tired. We're tired of this gimmicky multiplayer genre of, we'll just keep throwing new stuff in and it'll be cool. Gears is on one console. Let's also talk about that. Battlefield and Call of Duty are on both systems. Gears is an Xbox exclusive. And knowing Call of Duty, in the month of December, they are going to cut the cost of their game by $20. They do it every December to sell the most titles. They will cut the cost of the game to outsell everybody. Because they don't care. They know it'll sell. So, I don't know how Gears is going to come out of this holiday season on top unless this game is the best Gears of War game that we've ever gotten.
Yeah,
And,
if the story kills it, if Horde mode is good, and it's balanced.
and it's
Stuff like
balanced,
that.
we'll be okay. But going into this, I would have been very freaked out and rattled at that announcement.
I'm sort of surprised they're announcing they're releasing in October.
Well, here's the thing: is that if I highlighted the games that are coming out, September 30th is Final Fantasy. Gears could have gone, for all intents and purposes, Gears could have released on the same day it did in 2000, or Gears 3 released, which was the September 20th
20th
this year. They could have released the game on September 20th and had given themselves at least a month before everything else had happened. But they wanted to be in holiday schedule. If they had been ahead of the curve, they would be in a much better place because I wouldn't be so worried about people not buying Gears to buy Battlefield. And yeah. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, it's going to be tough. It's a tough lineup, and that's only the shooters that they've announced. You also have Dishonored that got announced, and then there's the Final Fantasy fans, and I'm sure there's going to be another one or two games.
Yeah,
titles with that.
I mean, I haven't been talking this whole time because I'm playing the game of the year right now. Sorry.
Destiny?
Uncharted 4.
I mean, honestly, this game, it needs to launch perfectly. They can't launch a broken game and then patch it with updates because by that time everyone's going to have moved on to
There's
other
no
games.
audience, and then we're right back where we were
They
with
would have
Judgment.
sold it for
It turns into a
Battlefield.
Titanfall essentially, where it's like it has potential, but they release it without all of the stuff that it needs, and by the time they add it, it's too late and everyone's moved on.
I mean, we'll get a competitive mode, and they'll probably announce some kind of tournament for esports. But Gears' esports community, as of right now, is 500 people, with maybe, I've said this in another video, maybe 10 to 20 casters, or people that could actually do that kind of stuff professionally and on a good level and put in that amount of effort. So if we're looking at this game, we've got 500 people that we're going to bet on to make this game successful, and we're going to throw a ton of money at it. That's not going to help the problem. The problem is going to be very relevant. And I hate to say that I'm not ultra concerned, but it's very concerning going in. They've got a lot of announcements to make, and the game pretty much has to the multiplayer has to be almost redone and pristine by the time we get it. And I hate saying that, but it's true.
All right.
Well, what do you expect to see at E3? Because that's the logical.
Single player campaign, they'll announce Horde mode, and probably some $500,000 to $1 million tournament.
Yep. Can't say that any better myself.
I'm a marketing guy, so I've pretty much called Microsoft's marketing every time they do stuff. They haven't changed how they do things. So they'll do some kind of single player walkthrough. They'll have a bunch of people on stage showing the game off. They'll talk about competitive esports. Then they'll announce their World League or something that they're gonna compete for, and that's a whole different sort of format.
Let's see if you can call this one then. What celebrity are they gonna have show it off at E3?
They're gonna have you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna have the people that voice acted play the game. That would be the best thing because they put some big name actors in there. They might as well use Liam McIntyre for it.
I could see that.
I think that would make the most sense. I mean, they've used in Gears 2, they just use people from the studio, but yeah, I probably would bet money that they'll show off the game and they'll talk and they'll be really excited and this is the future of how the game's going to be, and then they'll be like, "Oh, maybe they'll announce another beta, maybe."
I
They
wish.
they
That'd be
said
kinda cool.
they said that they're not going to, or that they're not planning on having another one, but
I don't know. They may do something else. Something.
a demo.
Yeah, something. There'll be something else there because there's just not enough at this point that I think, like, in a real assessment in a real world where if I was a marketing guy and you were telling me everything you were going to do, I'd be pretty much telling you, hey, this is how it is. What are you giving me? Oh, we're giving you this. Not enough. What are you giving me? Like, pull it out. Find something that's going to work.
Yeah.
Because this is the game that we got in the beta, and then if they leave things without changing anything, they make about half the changes. I think the game makes it. Even half the changes we've suggested, the game makes it. But past that, it's good luck. I know that, you know, everybody's gonna have their own thoughts and opinions on it, but God, if I have to listen to Body Count ever again, Barbosa wrote that for me forever. But yeah, it's just it's rough from even a standard marketing standpoint. Like, you don't. I'd be so, even for your AAA title, like, this is your flagship. It's got so many holes right now that makes it really, like, what are you gonna do? Where are we gonna go with this and make it happen? And that's just I've been here 10 years and I'm more worried about this release than I was about Judgment. And that's saying something. So I don't know how you guys feel about it, just from a casual perspective.
I mean, I'm excited for it, but I mean, I think we're all excited for it. I'm not as worried, being that I don't have to worry about the competitive scene dying because I'm not part of that scene. So it's like,
The casuals are over here roasting marshmallows on the competitive scene.
yeah.
We made it.
Yay.
Looks like Epic got it right, guys.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so all right, I want to re-hit one thing real quick. Just back on that DLC model. The overview of what I was trying to get at is, I think we all said it's overpriced. They're charging the hardcore fans a lot more money. They could get. Some people have said, well, yeah, I mean, why not charge the hardcore fans a little bit more money? And I say, well, you could make the same amount if they're not at their peak profit point. They could make the same amount of money by charging less and having more people buy it. That was just one of my main points. I think that they're overcharging, which means they're not at that peak point, so they could have decreased the price. But I also want to point out, I am aware that, think about the price that we're paying for it and how many hours you're going to spend. Gaming is one of the cheapest hobbies if you think about time per hour that you're spending on it. You're putting hundreds of hours in and you're paying $60, $100 for a game, it's a good
It's a
it's a
good
good
investment.
yeah. So I don't have any problem with that, but then compare it to you really have to compare it to the other things in the industry. Don't compare it to going to the movies or going to play paintball or something like that. Compare it to the rest of the industry.
Movies is like one of the most expensive
Yeah.
things. I've already seen Captain America: Civil War twice, and I'm thinking about watching it a third time.
Okay. So got 15 minutes left or something until I want to call it, just to not make the video too long.
Too
Two
long.
hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
We did start late.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We're at an hour 33 right now. So so
We
one
didn't talk about that active reload topic you wanted to talk to,
yeah.
because
So that let's talk about that. One of the things I was wondering to start with is, let's say we're not going to get our way and that the active damage is going to stay there. What if none of us want it there? Go watch our old video and we'll explain why. But let's pretend it's staying there. What is our compromise going to be? The first question I have is, what do you think of this new system compared to the old system?
stupid. But I mean,
Stupid.
that's neither here nor there. I mean, it's just like the argument for the foundation of it is wrong. The argument is like, oh, we're playing it like a MOBA. No one's playing Gears like a MOBA. Why is this even an argument? Why was this the foundational point that you went to? Oh yeah, we're gonna have team fights, and you have to know when your thing's on cooldown. It's dumb, so dumb. I can't.
Might as well have the
defer that-
chainsaw have a cooldown too.
I wouldn't
Might as
mind
well-
that.
Gears of
No.
cooldowns. Just add a
Gears of
cooldown on
cooldowns.
everything.
Can make a
You
video
have
about
like a-
that.
Oh god, you can have a
Yo.
30-second cooldown in between where you can shoot boom shots. That's how we balance. That's how we balance the weapons, boys. That's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna add cooldowns to everything, so that you have to wait a certain period of time before you can fire the gun.
Same thing with
Yo.
roadie running. You can only roadie run for like 10 seconds, and you get tired out and you have to just jog.
Yo, I will say one thing though. If you have played Overwatch, one thing that does need a cooldown, Bastion's turret. Oh my god. That thing's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
That was probably the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I was wondering how
Yep.
Bastion. Well, I played the little dwarf guy that built the turret, and I got 40. I got a couple games where I was like 35 plus kills, and I was like, yeah, this thing needs a little bit of a nerf.
Yeah, no, it was nuts. Like I had a friend that he got like 37 and 4 and it was just his turrets got like 30 some odd of the kills. I was like, wow.
You can literally
Ridiculous.
place them on the spots, and they just mow
Yeah, and
everybody down
if
as
you
they're
pair
running
it
out.
with like a player who has Reinhardt and just use a shield to just keep blocking so that they stay up. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. Anyways, regardless of that, yeah, the actives currently are just bad.
Are we all in
Like-
agreement that the old system is better than this new one?
The old
Yeah.
system is better than the new one, but the old system is still bad.
Yeah.
It's like voting. No, we won't
Just
go
the
to voting
judgment
now.
system was better.
Yeah,
It's,
Like when we say that the judgment whatever is better than the other games, and we say that judgment is like the worst overall, there's something.
I mean,
You
while
gotta-
the
you gotta
old
pay
system was like someone shot a hole in our boat, this system is like someone shot 2 holes in our boat. So it's like the old system's better, but I mean, we're still going. we're still
no,
sinking.
this
They're still
new
going
system-
down.
No, no,
Yeah.
no. This new system, like, I would even go further in the analogy. It's like we hit the iceberg with the Titanic, but it was like the engine exploded, and half the crew died on the first like 3 minutes.
But the
then
captain's
the
still
other
saying,
one-
"No, we're still good. We got this."
Yeah,
guy."
we're so good, guys. And then the old system was like, oh, we saw the iceberg, we hit the iceberg. It's kind of a problem. We don't have to deal with it right now. And Judgment was like, oh, we see the iceberg, we've completely avoided it. That's how I would say the system is.
Yeah.
What I think that needs to happen, and I thought about this, if you're going to give anything to the players, just give utility to the weapons, like increase the spread of the shotgun or something, or like do something that's not damage. I wouldn't care as much. You get a faster, you can be cheesy and like, oh, you get a faster rate of fire, or your bullets can, like, 1 out of 5 bullets with the Lancer can penetrate through something. Just, you can give it other utility that's not damage.
Yeah, because that happened. Like with the Boltok, Boltok and Lancer had faster rate of fire. Torquebow had a faster draw speed, so you can basically it's like what a half second to penetrate or something like that, or to stick. Um, Longshot had collateral damage potential, and then Boomshot had the cluster bombs.
So
But that's damage.
here's my ideal compromise. I mean, compromise. So
We don't compromise in Gears. We just get bitter and complain on Twitter.
but all
Uh,
right.
In Captain
So
America, you
no,
stay,
there's no starting weapon
stand your
buffs.
ground.
So actives are just faster reload for starting weapons. Power weapons, I could see having modifiers where yeah, torque charge is faster, long shot can penetrate, or is easier to get headshots or something like that.
Oh god, like an ultimate? No,
But
not like Ultimate Edition.
but if they keep the active system the way it is, you can't active unless you've fired a shot. So like I don't know, the Boltok, if you want to active, sure, wait and do it whenever you want, get a full clip of actives, but you can't do it until after you fired a shot. Boom, same thing, but if you fire a shot, you're not going to be able to pre-active that boom like a million times.
Yeah.
I think making it so that you need to fire a shot before you're able to active would solve a lot of the problems we have, where you're not just running around activating over and over again to make sure you have a perfect active when you want to fire that boom off, or getting an active before you fire your first boom, or whatever.
Yeah, I think one of the things I know Waldo and I discussed at one point was the thing that I've always loved about previous Epic games that they put out was with like Unreal Tournament they had alternate fires, right? Like the whole game is based off alternate fires. The new Doom is kind of similar in that regard, but you know, let's use the boom as an example. I think we all already feel like getting free damage is bad, um, but one of the neat things that we discussed last weekend or last week on the show was how, say, fighting from the bottom of steps with boom is at a really weird disadvantage because you're having to play with an arc, you know, and it's very hard to understand that arc whenever you're trying to go up an incline. And most players too, like especially new players, um, if they fired a rocket in another game, there may not be an arc because like, I feel like the boom and the way that it arcs is very unique to Gears of War. And if you learn it, you take the time and really use the weapon a lot. And also, if you're a player at home and you don't pick up weapons because you feel like you're bad with them, how do you ever get good with them, right? Like you have to go pick them up. But that's neither here nor there. So one of the neat things that we discussed was like, well, we don't feel that the boom shot should ever give you a second explosion. Like we don't think that that is a worthy component because you're getting free damage. And also, there's been times like you survive the boom, right? But the second explosion pushed you down, and that's extremely frustrating because you feel like I just dodged the rocket. I should, you know, because I dodged it, I made the right play. I'm now screwed because this secondary effect. So one of the neat things that we discussed was instead of having a secondary effect like that, why not just make it to where instead of having an arc, now you have an alternate fire based off if you decided to perfect reload or not. So the alternate fire in this sense is instead of an arc, you have a boom that shoots straight. So you could say, oh, I'm in a situation at the bottom of the steps. I might not be able to get the shot if I hit it with the regular lob or arc that it has, but if I decide to shoot it straight, then you know now I'm not at such a disadvantage with this in this fight. And you could like use that to assess every single weapon in the game, like a Boltok, you know, giving the ability to fire a little faster, the Torque giving the ability to charge a little quicker. But it doesn't mean that you have to do extra damage, you know. So you could give it some sort of interesting perk, but it not be something that's ultimately game breaking, but it does treat how you choose. It's like a risk reward system where it treats how you choose to enter each fight. But again, it's not a free damage problem.
So I don't know how you would toggle an alternate fire thing.
Right. It's solely if you choose to do it or not. Like it's a situational thing. You could say, I could reload right now, get my
So if you get the
alternate
active,
fire.
then you use the alternate. It's not you get the active, and
Right.
now you get to choose if you use the alternate or not.
Yeah. Like
Does it have like a
Hmm?
what's the word? Does it have like a cooldown? Like with actives, they go away after like about 7 seconds.
Yeah, I think it would still be a cooldown, but I mean, like even with this system, you might be able to still get actives at any time because
Oh, okay, yeah.
think about it, like you could say, I could still pre-active my boom shot, but that's because I want my boom to fly straight in this scenario. It's not because I want it to have extra damage without having to fire off my first round. Same with your shotgun, like you're not getting a full clip of extra damage shotgun bullets. Maybe you're just I don't want to even say you're getting anything in that regard because it's a base primary weapon. I think it's just that you're reloading. So I don't even want to try to, I don't want to say anything like, oh, you get a faster firing cadence or you get a tighter spread. Like I feel like those are bad examples
Essentially, you're
of
saying
something
you
you could
get a
do.
modified mechanic on a power weapon.
Yeah, mostly noticeable on a power up or I'm sorry, a power weapon or a pickup weapon. But like for your utility weapons, you're not really doing anything except for firing faster. I'm sorry, reloading faster or jamming your gun. So it's still a risk reward system, right? Like you're still having to say in this scenario I want my boom to shoot straight or I want my boom to not shoot straight. I can choose to do it at any point and I don't have to waste a shot in order to do it. I can try to go into the fight, preemptively go into the fight knowing this is how I want to shoot this shot once I come around this corner. Use that alternate fire to my advantage, but you're not getting free damage. You're not getting something that's entirely game breaking and not very skillful at all. Like, and if anything, you're adding skill by giving it an alternate fire. Like, you're increasing that gap.
Because they have to be timing the adjustment. Like you have to know what's going on, which
Right.
is like, oh,
Yeah,
we've
but
changed the fire mode.
but
Like we
that
have
boom
to
is sort of a
adjust.
specific example. Like, what would you do on the long shot or the torque or something like that? Because like the faster charge time or the ability to get headshots easier or something like that we have now, it's changing the mechanic, but it doesn't necessarily change the way you use the weapon that much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's still the thing, though, is like the beauty of the weapon always consistently working the way that it should is that it still truly shows who has the most skill with a gun, right? Like again, to the Halo 2 reference, a four shot is a four shot is a four shot. My gun didn't ever do anything oddly different. I didn't, suddenly create a three-shot scenario, unless of course you were team fired. But um, you're not really adding anything that's really changing the outcome of a fight. It's changing the positioning and the outcome of like how you position yourself, I guess, in order to better get a kill. So yeah, I mean, we'd have to go through like every situation. Like obviously, the boom shot was just like the first example I came up with just now off the top of my head, but like you could assess it for each gun really, and try to figure out what is best.
The torque bow phases out of time, and then it's able to go through cover and hit the person behind cover.
I was gonna
No.
say you can
Like
almost
a
make
rail
it act
gun.
like a drop, not a drop, like a kind of like a tripwire or in a drop shot where you can stick somebody, but as long as you hold the trigger, they don't die yet, and then I don't know, or something like
Or
you
it
can
shoots
hit a
it,
wall.
or it adds like a chain onto the torque bow so you can rip them over cover.
Get over here.
Or I
So
mean, it
can
could
you-
it could it could be something like collateral headshots with sniper or something like that. Like I feel personally that if I hit somebody with a headshot, my bullet should keep flying with the sniper rifle. Like I shouldn't do that maybe with the body shots like we saw in Judgment.
I mean,
You could shoot somebody in the
I
toe.
wouldn't mind that on body shots, honestly, especially with an active.
My biggest thing with a sniper in Gao is that if I hit you at all in the body, it doesn't matter where I hit you, you should be 4 pointed. Period. I shot you with a sniper rifle somewhere on your person. If I hit you in the face, you should be dead. But if I hit you anywhere else, you should be to the point of death. That it makes you readjust how you approach the fight. Because like how many times do you play UE or Gal 2 or Gal 3 where like someone hits you as you're rushing them with snipe and it doesn't even halfway really hurt you. It's just kind of like flesh wound, sort of deal, and you just keep pushing the fight. Like it really detracts from the skill of that weapon. It's not like the Gal 1 sniper where you hit them in the toe and you down them. Like it's not that powerful, but it makes you think like hey, he hit me, he hurt me really bad. I probably shouldn't push this while I'm 4-pointed. Not saying it'll slow down the game, but like it will make you respect the weapon a lot more, but yet not down you. Sorry, I know those are two like different examples, but I'm just saying like those are two fixes I think that should happen if you're gonna have to try to add some sort of gimmick to how can we keep this in the game but not get free damage. Maybe there's some sort of solution that you can do. That was just an idea that we had. Well, we had that idea probably like, God, 8-9 months ago.
Yeah.
I think I remember talking with like Minja and Liam about it or something. I don't know. It was a while back, and it's not something that has to be done. But I feel like at this point we are at the point of compromise where we're not going to get probably what we want ideally in a game that we feel is the best. And it kind of sucks because we have been giving a lot of this feedback for a couple years now.
There's a 32-page document.
Yeah, there's a long document. There's stuff that Chaps has wrote. Everybody pretty much has since the dawn of Gal 2 hated smoke stuns, but yet they're still here. There's lots of pages and pages and pages and pages of threads on
I don't hate smoke stuns.
On if you should allow wall tags.
I think Ragdoll should come back.
No.
I'm just saying, like, there's so many things that like people blatantly dislike, within this community. Oh my gosh, I just watched my friend just kill his teammate. If he clutches this 1v2 right now, I'm a freak out. Don't. Oh my gosh, that was the most hilarious round of Gears I ever saw. I wish you guys could have seen it. He team killed his buddy, and then the other guy in the 2v2 boxes match team killed his buddy. So then it turned to a 1v1, all because of team kills. Anyways,
on that topic, we should wrap it up so we can play some Gears.
No, I have Uncharted 4 to play.
Okay.
I've got this Battleborn game that's kind of fun. It's not like the most in-depth game, but it's just fun in general, just shooting stuff.
Yeah.
I would never call it competitive, but it is fun.
You like MOBAs too, so there's that.
Yeah, I do. They do touch my heart in a special place.
I'm probably gonna get some sleep. Dodger, you look like you need sleep.
No, what all you
I'm
need
waking up in 5.5 hours.
What all of you guys need is PlayStation 4s and Uncharted 4. That's it.
I have a PlayStation 4. I just don't have Uncharted 4.
Well, go get you some Uncharted.
No. I close on a house in 3 days, so I don't have.
That's
money.
The perfect time.
I don't have money to spend.
No, congratulations on that, for real though.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyways. Yeah. So let's wrap it up then. We've had about 4 hours of discussion between the past 2 weeks, just on this show alone, and then other times on Twitter and stuff. It's been a lot of topics. I hope they actually watch this, and I mean, I know they're not going to listen to everything we say, but it'd be nice.
Yeah, they'll fast forward a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, Chaps at least made it so that each topic is like highlighted in the final video on YouTube, so that was easy. Like you can jump to the topics you want to do.
Yeah.
My final words would be. I had a doctor when I worked in the hospital, and he wrote like a 2-page dissertation of like the symptoms and what you could do, and pretty much highlighted like you can do all this or you can do nothing because it's not going to change anything. And that's where I kind of feel like we are. Like as much as I want to believe that they're going to change all this stuff, it's trust issues in Gears are really relevant. We've had certain people go from this, have been in charge of the series for a long time, and they have not made the best judgment for how the game should be, and it's concerning just because we still have stuff that should have been gone a long time ago, but people still think it's a good idea. And if they want the game to be successful, we need real changes to the game to make it better. So we can either do everything we suggested or in some fashion, or do nothing and let the holiday decide what happens from there. That's kind of where I feel about it.
Everything all right, John?
Everything's great.
Your kid having fun?
Yeah.
Your kid having
fun
or something?
She's asleep. She's out, man.
What was that noise?
What's like you're like shaking something or something?
No, it's me.
Oh. It's like
Sorry.
I thought his kid was like rattling some keys or something.
What if Waldo is the kid?
That's to be really awkward. I've never met John in real life in my life.
So, Typo, do you have any closing comments?
No.
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 Strong words.
No, I'm just kidding. I was really excited that I finally got to meet Murray, Marizzle from the Gal community this past weekend. We got to talk a lot about hype and how terrible of an event organizer Waldo is. Wrecked. But no,
Facts.
but no, I'm glad that you guys invited us to come on the show and talk. I know Waldo and I have these conversations on the daily almost. It feels like now. But it's always good to hear all these other opinions. And I mean, some of the things like I'm not as concerned about some topics as I am others. Some of them I don't think are that big of deals, but others are. I'm super passionate about, and it's cool seeing how between the four of us, and not just the four of us, but like the whole community as a whole, like we all care about different things, but yet at the end of the day, we care about the overall state of the game, and that it comes together to be a phenomenal title that we want to play and continue to play and feel addicted to playing, for years to come. Honestly, just playing Overwatch this last week, seeing the kind of hype surrounding that game, like I want that same sort of hype spreading like wildfire and virally, for Gal 4, and so I really think that it has all that potential, with a lot of passionate people behind it, but we really need a lot of those key things that we've discussed here and on forums and Twitter, to really, come around so that the game can be what we truly know it can be. So
Yeah.
that's how I stand at the end of the day. Will we see it come October? Maybe. Will we see it over content updates? Maybe. But ultimately, I think they're listening. I think TC is definitely listening, and we should see a lot of good come from it. But we'll just have to wait and see.
All right. Dodger, anything else? All right. Well, it was nice having you guys on. Dodger and I have conversations like this with our friends all the time, and I mean, it's nice getting the more competitive aspect in it. As you could probably tell from me, I play very casually, so I
I'm like
miss
the most competitive casual or the most
Yeah.
casual competitive person. That's
It's
how I
like
like to
so I miss
describe
a lot of
myself.
the aspects that you guys bring up. So it was very nice to talk to you guys the past couple weeks and get all this stuff on here.
Love
Yeah.
and enjoy to be on here just because I personally came from the casual community, so I know what it's
Yeah.
like not caring about the competitive, and then you get in the competitive, and everyone's like, "What about the casuals?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, they matter too." But it just
Yeah.
seems like the competitive community is just a lot louder,
Yeah.
right? That's what
Well,
it is.
it's one of those things where like we are the vocal minority, but I think the casual community, like I think I said this last time, they don't always understand that the competitive community. It's not like we don't care about them. It's that we may not express it as well because we feel like we have that sort of knowledge that we assume everyone has, and we kind of forget at times that maybe they haven't invested as much time. They know how the systems of something work, but regardless of that, like all we really want is a fair and balanced game. And I think at the end of the day, all the casual players want is a fair and balanced game. And so there really shouldn't be like any division, but unfortunately, it kind of comes off that way occasionally. And so, you know, ultimately, we want everybody to have the best game possible, and I think everybody can agree that they all want that. So.
Yep. All right. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up here. We're hitting that almost 2 hour mark now, and I want this all to fit on one video. So,
Yeah.
thanks for joining us, guys. Thanks for watching, all of you in the chat or watching it later on YouTube.
Woo!
Look forward to doing more of these episodes. We'll have to figure out who to have on next, though. All right. Talk to you guys
Yep.
soon. See
Bye.
ya.
Boop.